I used to think 80 meant slowing down, long afternoons on the porch, more time for the little things. I thought it would be peaceful, simple. What I didn't expect was how much life would change, in ways no one warned me about. Living into your 80s is a gift. It means you've seen generations grow, witnessed decades of history, carried wisdom through time. But it also means facing shifts that don't come with a manual, shifts that aren't always talked about, the kind of truths that don't show up in birthday cards or highlight reels, the ones you feel in the quiet moments, when the phone doesn't ring, when the stairs feel longer, when the world outside starts to move just a little too fast. No one tells you how different things start to feel after 80, not just in your body, but in your friendships, your routines, your sense of place in the world. It's not about being sad or defeated, it's about being honest. And that honesty matters, because without it, we feel like we're the only ones struggling. We start to believe there's something wrong with us for feeling lonely, or tired, or afraid of what's next. This video isn't here to scare you, it's here to prepare you, to speak the truth that so many keep inside, to name the realities that come with this stage of life so you can face them with clarity, care, and confidence. We'll walk through 5 of the most common and most difficult challenges people face after 80, from losing independence to feeling invisible, from managing health to navigating loss. These are the things that matter, the things that deserve to be said out loud. And more importantly, we'll talk about how to meet each one with strength, with support, with the kind of wisdom only life can teach. Because life after 80 isn't the end. It's just a different kind of beginning, one that deserves truth, respect, and a voice that finally says, "You're not alone." No one tells you how quiet the world becomes after 80, not the peaceful kind of quiet, the reflective silence of a morning walk or a book in your lap. This quiet is different. It's the kind that settles in your bones, the kind that follows you from room to room, the kind that makes you miss the sound of laughter in your kitchen, the ring of the phone just to say hello, the simple chaos of being needed. Over the years, the world changes, but the hardest changes are the ones that happen quietly. One day, you realize your calendar is emptier than it used to be. The friends who knew your stories, really knew them, have started to fade from your circle, one by one. And while family still loves you, their visits come less often. They're busy. They mean well. But time slips by, and the space between conversations starts to grow. What many don't understand is that loneliness at this stage of life isn't just sadness. It's physical. It's mental. It reaches into your health in ways you don't expect. Studies have shown that chronic loneliness in seniors is linked to increased risks of depression, heart disease, and even cognitive decline. But more than any statistic, it's the feeling of becoming invisible that cuts the deepest. You sit in your chair and wonder, does anyone remember the life I built? The person I was? The thoughts I still have? The hardest part isn't just being alone. It's feeling forgotten. Feeling like your story no longer fits in the fast-paced world outside your window. And yet, here's the truth that needs saying. You are not forgotten. You are still here. And your presence still matters more than you know. This kind of loneliness isn't a personal failure. It's a symptom of a society that doesn't always know how to hold space for age. But that doesn't mean you have to carry it silently. There are ways to reconnect. Sometimes it's reaching out to someone you haven't spoken to in years. Sometimes it's showing up to that community center lunch, even if you don't know anyone yet. Sometimes it's calling your grandchild just to say you were thinking of them. And sometimes it's simply speaking the truth to someone else your age. It gets quiet, doesn't it? Those words alone can open a door. You are not invisible. You are not finished. Your story still holds value, and your voice still deserves to be heard. The quiet may come, but it doesn't have to define you. And if you're watching this feeling unseen, let this be your reminder. You're still here, and that still means everything. One of the hardest things about aging, especially after 80, isn't just what you lose in the outside world. It's what you start to say goodbye to inside yourself. It happens slowly, sometimes so gradually you don't even notice, until one day, something that used to come easily doesn't. You go to write a note and your hands don't cooperate the way they used to. You reach for your keys and pause, wondering if today is one of those days where driving feels more like a risk than a freedom. You open the fridge, look at the ingredients, and suddenly feel overwhelmed by the thought of cooking the way you used to. And it hurts, not just in your body, but in your sense of self. Because these things weren't just tasks. They were part of who you were. Part of how you showed up in the world. Driving meant independence. Cooking meant care. Writing a letter meant connection. Each small piece that slips away feels like you're losing part of your reflection. This is the reality few people talk about, the quiet, private grief that comes with losing bits of your identity. You remember the person who walked with ease, who moved through the world without a second thought. The version of yourself who handled everything, made decisions, cared for others without help. And while you're still that person at your core, it's hard not to feel like you're fading when your abilities start to. There's a mourning that comes with aging, a mourning not just for people we've lost, but for versions of ourselves we can't get back. And it's okay to feel that. It's okay to be sad about it, to miss who you were, to miss what used to be effortless. But here's something else that matters just as much. You are still you. Your value was never in the speed of your steps, the clarity of your handwriting, or the sharpness of your vision. It's in your presence, your resilience, your wisdom, your ability to adapt even when it's painful. Even as you say goodbye to some parts of yourself, you're still showing up, still choosing to live, still learning new ways to be who you are, even if it looks different than before. You are not less because you need more help. You are not weak because you move more slowly. You are not lost because pieces of your past self feel far away. You are evolving, and evolution takes strength. This stage of life isn't about erasing who you were. It's about honoring who you've been while embracing who you still are. And in that space, there is still beauty, still power, still meaning. So if today feels like a day when something slipped away, be gentle with yourself. You are not disappearing. You're becoming. As you move further into your 80s, one thing becomes painfully clear. The healthcare system, the very place meant to protect you, starts to feel colder. You walk into a doctor's office and something has shifted. The voices feel quicker, the explanations more rushed. You wait longer in the lobby, only to get fewer minutes with someone who doesn't always look you in the eye. You try to explain your pain, how it aches differently now, how it lingers. And you're met with a nod and a phrase that stings more than it should. Well, that's just part of getting older. And just like that, your pain becomes invisible. You're handed a prescription, maybe 2, maybe 5. You go home with bottles and instructions, some that sound familiar, some that don't. You wonder if anyone's keeping track of all the medications you're on, or if they expect you to figure it out on your own. You don't feel seen, you don't feel heard, and that more than anything makes you feel like you've become a chart instead of a person. There's a unique kind of grief that comes with feeling like the system designed to care for you is beginning to push you to the side. And it's not about one bad doctor. It's about a growing disconnect. A sense that the older you get, the less your voice matters in the conversation about your own health. So you learn to advocate. You bring notes to your appointments, you ask for explanations, you double-check your prescriptions, you insist on second opinions when something doesn't feel right. And while that kind of strength is admirable, it's also exhausting. You shouldn't have to fight to be treated with dignity. You shouldn't have to push to be heard. You shouldn't have to defend your right to comfort and clarity in your own care. But here you are, showing up anyway. And that's the part no one sees. The strength it takes just to keep walking into the doctor's office, to keep asking questions, to keep caring about your own well-being when the world around you starts acting like you should be fading quietly into the background. If you've ever walked out of an appointment feeling dismissed, you're not alone. If you've ever felt like the person in the white coat saw your age more than your humanity, you're not imagining it. But don't let that make you smaller. Your questions are valid, your experience is real, and your health matters at 80, at 90, and beyond. Keep advocating, keep speaking up, and when it feels too heavy, lean on someone who can speak with you, family, a trusted friend, or a patient advocate. Because growing older doesn't mean you lose the right to compassionate, thoughtful care. In fact, it means you've earned it more than ever. No one really tells you how money feels different after 80. Not just in how it's spent, but in how it weighs on you. Even when you've planned, even when you've saved, even when you were told you did everything right, you enter your 80s expecting to feel a little more settled, a little more secure. But for so many, the reality is the opposite, because life keeps getting more expensive, while your income stays the same. And what once felt like enough starts to feel like barely making it. Housing costs climb, prescription prices go up, groceries stretch thinner, long-term care, if needed, can wipe out decades of savings in months. Even little things, a plumbing issue, a medical copay, a higher energy bill, become big stressors when you're counting every dollar just to stay steady. And yet, most people don't talk about it. Many seniors live with a quiet financial anxiety that never leaves the back of their mind. They make silent calculations at the grocery store. They ration pills to make them last longer. They skip outings, delay dental work, ignore home repairs, not because they want to, but because they feel they have no choice. And when the kids ask, "Do you need anything?" the answer is always the same: "I'm fine." Because admitting otherwise feels like failure, like becoming a burden, like losing pride in a life you've worked so hard to build. But that silence, that's what can be dangerous. Because financial stress doesn't just impact your wallet, it impacts your health. It wears on your sleep. It eats away at your independence, and it robs you of the peace you've earned. There is no shame in needing help, no weakness in saying, "Things are tighter than I expected." You are not alone in this. In fact, millions of people over 80 are in the same position, just too proud or too afraid to speak up. But you deserve support. You deserve comfort. You deserve to live without the constant background worry of running out before the month does. There are programs, benefits, and community services available, many that go unused because no one ever talks about them. From energy assistance to food programs, from senior rent subsidies to prescription discounts, help exists. But it often takes a brave first step to ask. Talk to someone you trust. Speak to a financial counselor or an elder resource center. Let someone in. Because asking for support doesn't make you less independent. It means you're doing what it takes to stay independent longer. You've spent your life giving to your family, to your work, to your community. Now it's okay to receive. And there is strength in that too. At 80 and beyond, time feels different, not just in how it passes, but in how it weighs. It becomes more precious and more fragile, all at once. You begin to feel it in quiet moments, sitting in a sunlit chair, watching the day unfold slowly outside your window, or hearing a song you haven't heard in years and realizing how many seasons have passed since it first played in your kitchen. There's an awareness now, an unspoken understanding that time is no longer limitless, that each day isn't just another square on the calendar, but a gift that deserves your full attention. There's beauty in that, but there's grief too, because with that clarity comes reflection, regrets that rise softly, words you wish you'd said, trips you never took, friends you never got to say goodbye to. You begin to wonder what you've done with all the years behind you, and what you'll be able to do with those that remain. Some days, there's peace, a quiet acceptance, a feeling of having lived deeply, even through the hardship. You look at your life and feel gratitude for the love you've given and received, the stories you've written across decades, the way you've shown up even when life was heavy. Other days, though, there's fear. You worry about what might be left undone, about who will remember you, about what will happen when the goodbyes come closer than you're ready for. It's not about being afraid of death. It's about wanting to feel that you mattered, that your time here meant something. This is the reckoning no one warns you about, the reckoning that aging brings, the reckoning that makes you look inward and ask, have I loved well? Have I forgiven enough? Have I let people see the real me? But here's the quiet, life-affirming truth. Even now, there is still time. Time to make peace, to say what needs saying, to write a letter, make a call, open your heart just a little more. Time to look someone you love in the eyes and let them really see you, to pass on a piece of your wisdom, to say, I'm proud of who I became. This stage of life isn't just about endings. It's about reconnection with yourself, with others, with what matters most. Yes, time feels fragile, but it also feels clearer, like a lens that finally sharpens on what's true. The noise fades, the pressure eases. What's left is what's real. You may not know how many days you have left, but you know how to make the ones you do have meaningful. That's the gift of this chapter. You've lived, you've learned, and now you get to live the rest with intention. And that, more than anything, is what makes this time sacred. After 80, life becomes a delicate balance of holding on and letting go, of grieving what's changed and embracing what remains. But even in the face of these harsh realities, there is still so much life left to live, if we choose to live it with eyes wide open. Stay connected. Don't let the silence convince you that no one cares. Reach out, make the phone call, join the senior center, attend that faith gathering, or volunteer for something that sparks your heart. It's not about being busy, it's about being seen, heard, and known. You still belong here. You still have a place in this world. Embrace your routine, yes, but don't forget to leave space for joy. Try a new recipe. Sit outside just to feel the sun on your face. Say yes to the invitation, even if it feels easier to say no. Let yourself laugh. Let yourself be surprised. You are not too old for delight. Talk about your needs. Don't carry them alone. Whether it's a new ache in your body, a bill that feels too big, or a loneliness you haven't said out loud, speak it. Someone is willing to help, but they have to know you need it. You are not a burden. You are a human being who deserves care, comfort, and connection. And most of all, share your stories. Because you carry something this world deeply needs: perspective, wisdom that can't be Googled, grace that only time can give. When you speak your truth, you light a path for the generations behind you. You remind them what matters, and you remind yourself that your story still matters too. Life after 80 is not about giving up, it's about choosing how you show up. And every day you open your eyes, you still have that choice. So choose connection, choose joy, choose truth. And know this, you are not done. Aging doesn't mean fading, it means deepening. After 80, life doesn't necessarily get easier, but it becomes more honest. The noise fades, and what's left is what's real, the people who stayed, the lessons that stuck, the strength you didn't know you had. These realities, the quiet, the losses, the shifts in your body and place in the world, are not signs of weakness. They are signs that you've lived, that you've endured. Yes, the truth about life after 80 can be harsh. But harshness doesn't make it hopeless. It makes it human. And when we speak these truths, when we share them instead of hiding them, they become easier to carry. Not because the pain goes away, but because we stop carrying it alone. This stage of life demands courage, the kind that's quieter than before, the kind that gets up in the morning knowing what's changed, and still makes the coffee, still calls a friend, still smiles at the memory of what once was, even when it aches. And if you're watching this, if you're nodding, if your eyes are misty, if your heart feels understood, then you already know. You're not alone. You're still here. And if you're still here, there's still life to live. There are still stories to tell, still people to love, Still small joys waiting for you on the porch, in a phone call, in the voice of someone who finally understands. The truth is, you've already made it through more than most people ever will. And what you carry, your truth, your resilience, your depth, it matters more now than ever. So let this be your reminder. Aging isn't the end of your story. It's the part where everything finally comes into focus. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this video spoke to your heart or helped you feel seen in a way you haven't in a long time, I invite you to share it with a friend, a family member, or someone who may need to hear they're not alone either. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Elderly Truths. This is a place for honesty, reflection, and real conversations about growing older with grace, strength, and truth. Your story still matters. Until next time, take care of yourself and take care of each other.